It all began in the quiet corners of the city library. Lila had always found solace among the towering shelves, the scent of old books wrapping around her like a gentle embrace. She was lost in the pages of a classic novel when she noticed her Eva, with her wild curls and a smile that seemed to tease the world itself. Their eyes met over the edge of a dusty book, and for a moment, time slowed. Lila's heart skipped, though she told herself it was just a fleeting spark, nothing more. Eva's gaze lingered longer than necessary, curiosity dancing in her brown eyes. She whispered a soft, almost playful, "Excuse me," as she reached for the same book Lila had been holding. "Oh, I'm sorry," Lila murmured, retreating her hands slightly. But there was something magnetic about the way Eva moved, confident, yet somehow vulnerable, like she carried secrets only a few could understand. They both laughed softly at the coincidence, the sound mingling like music. It wasn't just laughter. It was recognition, a pull neither could explain. Every day after that, Lila found herself scanning the library, hoping to catch Eva's glance again. And she did. Slowly, their encounters turned from fleeting eye contact to whispered conversations in the poetry aisle, where words suddenly felt charged with hidden meaning. Lila noticed the brush of Eva's fingers against hers, the warmth that lingered longer than necessary. Each touch, each glance, was a promise yet to be spoken. By the time Lila left the library that evening, her chest burned with something she couldn't name, desire wrapped in curiosity, innocent yet intoxicating. And somewhere, deep inside, she knew this was only the beginning of something far more consuming than either of them could imagine. The following week, the library felt different to Lila. It wasn't just a sanctuary of books anymore, it was the place where her heart raced at the sight of Eva. Today, Eva was sitting by the window, sunlight catching in her curls, making them look like molten gold. Lila's breath hitched as she approached, pretending to search for a book on the shelf, though her eyes never left Eva. "Hey," Eva greeted, her voice low and warm. It made Lila's skin tingle. "I saved you a spot." Lila's cheeks warmed. She smiled, a little shyly, and sat down across from her. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was charged, electric. Their knees brushed under the small table, a soft spark igniting at the contact. Lila couldn't help but notice how Eva's eyes softened when they met hers, how her lips curved in that subtle, almost mischievous way that made her heart skip again. They talked about books, music, dreams, but every word seemed layered, as if a secret was hiding behind every sentence. When Eva laughed, Lila felt herself leaning in unconsciously, drawn toward her warmth. And when Eva reached for her hand, lightly brushing her fingers over Lila's, it wasn't accidental. "I like being around you," Eva said softly, eyes locking with hers. There was a pause, a quiet tension, and then Lila whispered, "I like being around you too." It was simple, innocent words, yet they felt like confessions, like the opening of a door neither of them wanted to close. Lila could feel a heat building inside her, a longing that had nothing to do with the world outside. Eva's gaze lingered, daring her to come closer. And before either of them could think too much, their faces inched toward each other. When their lips finally met, it was tentative at first, a soft brush that left them both breathless. Lila's heart pounded in her chest as desire mingled with wonder. This kiss, this closeness, felt like the beginning of something they couldn't turn back from. After that first kiss, everything changed between them. Lila found herself counting the hours until she could see Eva again, her thoughts consumed by the memory of that gentle, electric touch of lips. It wasn't just a kiss, it was a spark that ignited a fire she hadn't known existed inside her. A few days later, Eva invited Lila to her apartment under the guise of book discussion and coffee. But as soon as Lila stepped inside, the air between them felt heavier, intimate in a way that made her stomach flutter. Eva led her to the couch, a small smile playing on her lips, and offered her a cup of steaming coffee. The aroma wrapped around them like a warm embrace, but it was Eva's proximity that made Lila's pulse quicken. They sat close, knees brushing again, this time deliberate. Eva's hand found Lila's, fingers intertwining naturally, as though they'd always belonged together. Lila felt heat rise to her cheeks, but didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned in, letting her forehead rest against Eva's. Their breaths mingled, slow and shallow, as the silence between them spoke louder than words ever could. "I've wanted this," Eva murmured, voice husky, and her lips hovered just above Lila's. Lila's heart thudded in response, every nerve alive, every thought disappearing into the sensation of being so near her. She nodded slightly, giving Eva permission without a word, feeling the thrill of surrender. When their lips met again, this time longer, slower, it was as if the world had melted away. Hands roamed gently, caressing the curve of her shoulders, the nape of her neck. Lila felt a shiver run through her as Eva's lips traced hers, teasing, exploring, pulling her deeper into the heat of desire that neither of them had anticipated, but both had silently longed for. The kiss broke only when they gasped for air, foreheads resting together, hearts pounding in unison. In that moment, Lila realized something intoxicating and undeniable. This wasn't just attraction. It was something far more consuming, a fire that had just begun to burn. Days turned into nights, filled with whispered messages and stolen glances. Lila couldn't concentrate on anything else. Eva's presence lingered in her mind like a sweet, maddening perfume. The pull between them was magnetic, inevitable, as if the universe itself had conspired to bring them closer. One evening, Eva invited Lila over again, this time for movie night. But as soon as Lila stepped inside, she realized this night would be different. Eva's living room was softly lit, candles flickering on the coffee table, casting a warm, golden glow over the room. The air seemed charged with electricity, and Lila could feel her pulse quicken. They settled on the couch, shoulders brushing, knees pressed together. Eva's hand found Lila's again, fingers entwining, thumb tracing soft, lazy circles along her skin. Lila's breath hitched, her heart hammering in her chest. The movie played on, but neither of them paid attention. Every glance, every touch, was a story in itself. Slowly, Eva turned toward her, lips hovering just above hers. "I can't stop thinking about you," she whispered, voice trembling with desire. Lila swallowed hard, words failing her, and leaned in. Their kiss deepened, slow and fiery, hands exploring, tracing curves and contours with delicate yet hungry insistence. Lila's fingers threaded through Eva's curls, pulling her closer, needing to feel every part of her. Eva responded in kind, lips pressing harder, tongue teasing softly, igniting a fire that raced through Lila's veins. Every sigh, every shiver, every subtle moan was a language only they could understand, a symphony of desire and longing. Time seemed to stop as they lost themselves in each other, lips, hands, and hearts entwined. In that embrace, Lila felt a rush of something she had never known. Pure, consuming desire, paired with a tenderness that made her want to stay in this moment forever. Finally, they pulled back slightly, foreheads resting together, breaths mingling. I need you," Lila whispered, voice barely audible. Eva's eyes sparkled, a mixture of mischief and longing. "Then don't hold back," she murmured. After that night, nothing felt the same. Every encounter, every message, every glance carried an undercurrent of need so strong it was almost unbearable. Lila found herself craving Eva's presence. Not just for kisses, but for the warmth of her touch, the comfort of her closeness, the thrill of being utterly seen. One rainy evening, Eva invited Lila over without explanation. When Lila arrived, she was met with dim lighting and soft music that hummed through the apartment like a heartbeat. Eva's gaze was intense, almost predatory, yet tender. She stepped close, brushing a wet strand of hair from Lila's face, her fingers lingering, tracing her jawline. "Come closer," Eva whispered. And Lila did, drawn as if by gravity. Their lips met in a heated kiss, slow at first, then urgent, desperate to explore and claim every inch of each other. Hands roamed freely now, caressing, pulling, seeking. Every touch sent sparks down Lila's spine, igniting a fire that made her knees weak. Eva pulled back slightly, just enough to look into her eyes. "I want all of you," she said, her voice husky. Lila's heart thumped loudly, and without hesitation, she whispered, "Then take me." They sank onto the couch, bodies pressing together, skin against skin. The world outside, the rain, the noise, everything faded. There was only the warmth between them, the softness of lips and the gentle bite of teeth, the intimacy of hands exploring with reverent hunger. Every kiss grew deeper, every caress more insistent, a dance of passion and longing that neither wanted to end. For Lila, it was overwhelming, intoxicating, and terrifying all at once. She had never felt desire like this before, an ache that was as much a... And as Eva whispered her name, brushing lips along her neck, Lila realized she didn't just want this night. She wanted every night, every morning, every stolen moment they could claim together. By the time they paused, tangled in each other's arms, hearts racing and breaths uneven, Lila knew something undeniable. She had fallen, completely and irrevocably, into Eva's orbit. The days that followed were a blur of stolen moments, whispered secrets, and kisses that left them both breathless. Lila and Eva were no longer just two women drawn to each other. They were a storm of desire and tenderness, a beautiful collision of hearts and bodies. Every touch seemed to carve a deeper connection. Every glance spoke of a need that went beyond words. One evening, Eva led Lila to her balcony, the city lights twinkling below like tiny stars. The cool night air brushed against their flushed skin as Eva pulled her close, hands cradling her face. "I don't want to be anywhere else but here, with you," she murmured, her lips barely brushing Lila's ear. Lila shivered, heart racing, and whispered back, "I feel the same." Their kiss was slow, deliberate, a careful exploration that quickly deepened into hunger. Eva's hands traced the curves of Lila's body, pulling her closer until there was no space left between them. Lila responded with equal fervor, lips and hands mapping every inch of Eva, memorizing the feel of her, the warmth of her, the undeniable fire they sparked together. Time became meaningless as they gave themselves to each other completely. Kisses moved from lips to neck, shoulders, and collarbones, each touch a declaration of longing and love. Every sigh and shiver became a wordless conversation, a promise of more, of surrender, of passion entwined with intimacy. Finally, they collapsed together on the balcony floor, bodies tangled, hearts beating in unison. Foreheads pressed together, they whispered confessions, laughter mixing with heavy breaths, a symphony of love and lust. In that moment, Lila understood fully. This wasn't just desire. It was devotion. It was connection. It was fire. And she never wanted it to end. As the city slept below them, they held each other close, lips brushing in gentle, lingering kisses, the kind that leave you trembling, smiling, and certain that some flames are meant to burn forever. From innocent glances to burning need, Lila and Eva had discovered a love that consumed, delighted, and ignited, a love that neither of them would ever forget.